Just hours after his staggering performance in the main event of WWE Crown Jewel, Logan Paul has revealed he has suffered a serious knee injury, possibly ruling him out of action for several months and maybe ruling him out of WrestleMania next year. Roman Reigns, his status for Survivor Series War Games has possibly been revealed. Speaking of statuses, Sasha Banks and Naomi, could they be on their way back to WWE? We've got a major hint about their future with the company. Bray Wyatt breaks character after his promo last night at Crown Jewel. Drew McIntyre reportedly worked the event whilst under the weather with the flu. MVP, he wasn't at Crown Jewel. We've got the reason why. Cora Jade, massive plans for her possibly going forward in WWE. And the Tag Team Championship match is set for next week's edition of SmackDown. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of WWE, especially after last night's Crown Jewel Premium Live event. So let's get straight into this one, starting off with Logan Paul. And despite basking in the glow and the glory of a fantastic main event performance in just his third ever professional wrestling match, Logan Paul possibly could be out of action when it comes to a wrestling ring for quite some time. WWE, of course, held Crown Jewel in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia yesterday evening or afternoon, morning, depending where you are in the world. The main event saw YouTuber turned WWE superstar Logan Paul challenge Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship in only his third ever professional wrestling match. Now, despite interference from his brother Jake Paul, who made his WWE debut, the Tribal Chief managed to put down Paul with a spear to retain the championship in Riyadh. Logan, of course, put up this incredible showing, which included him hitting Reigns with that one lucky punch, but ultimately it was not enough to put the head of the table down. Logan took to Twitter after the match, seemingly revealing that he suffered several serious injuries during the match. He tweeted, you can see it on the screen right there, along with the picture that he tweeted, quote, torn meniscus, MCL, and potentially ACL happened halfway through the match. Keep you updated. Paul's performance has been praised by many within the company as well as fans watching around the world. Of course, we wish Logan the best in his recovery from his injuries. Logan Paul wasn't going to wrestle again for quite a while. I think the thought process was, as I kind of pitched yesterday, I think that clearly they teased and were teasing something to be Logan and Jake Paul versus the Usos at some point in the future, possibly for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. We're going to speak about a Tag Team Championship match that's set for this coming Friday on SmackDown on Fox. But as I mentioned, I don't think that match was going to happen until, let's say, at the very earliest, the Royal Rumble in January. Possibly they might have even held off all the way to WrestleMania. The issue now is, particularly that January date, if it is a torn meniscus, torn MCL, and potentially ACL. I mean, he's saying it's definitely a torn meniscus and MCL. He says he don't know about the ACL. Even with those first two injuries, he's out of action until, I mean, gosh, it could be at least 4 or 5 months. If it's the ACL, Bayley just came back from an ACL injury in the summer. She was gone for nearly a year, 9 months to a year. That's really the timeline we're looking at when it comes to Logan Paul. So if it is an ACL tear, which again, I don't know, this is just pure speculation at this point, but if he's torn his meniscus MCL, chances are he's just completely ripped up his entire knee, which if that is the case, that means likely he could be out of action until realistically next summer. We could be looking at SummerSlam the next time we see Logan Paul inside of a WWE ring, which of course is a giant shame. I mean, I know people don't like Logan Paul, or they both don't like the ideas of celebrities getting involved with WWE. I myself, I've beat this drum till it's basically broken at this point, but I've never had any problem with celebrities working matches with WWE as long as the story makes sense, as long as they take it seriously, as long as it looks good. Logan Paul is a freak. You can't argue that. And you can say, wow, he's had some pretty good dance partners in there for his matches. You know, in his tag team match, he was with The Miz and Rey Mysterio, two of the most experienced people on the WWE roster. And then at SummerSlam, he was against The Miz, again, super experienced, been doing this for 15 years. And in the main event of Crown Jewel, he's against Roman Reigns, one of the best workers in the industry right now. I know people will scoff at that, but it's the truth. You know, talk about the big pay-per-view main events that Roman Reigns has worked. So, yeah, he's had some good dance partners. And yes, you have to be guided through things, but you still have to do your bit. You still have to do your side of the heavy lifting. And to do what Logan Paul has done, and to do what he did last night, every single match he has done, he has got better and better and better. His match at WrestleMania earlier this year was incredibly impressive. The match against The Miz, SummerSlam was even more impressive, and then last night was on another level. So Logan Paul clearly has a gift for this. Logan Paul is good at this. He has the look, he has the size, he has the promo ability, he has the star quality. People know who he is. He's a global star, got a huge social media following. He's good. He's good. So I was already coming out of last night excited to see where they go next with the Logan Paul storyline in WWE, because he signed this contract with WWE. There's more matches to come. He only signed his contract earlier this year. It was just in July, I think, of this year. So he's got several matches, dates, and big storylines to come. So I was excited to see where they were going to go. But as I mentioned, I think it's the tag team route now with his brother. But that may be on hold when it comes to the injury. Of course, if we get any confirmation on the severity of the injury, the timeline of his recovery, if it is indeed a torn ACL, we'll talk about it here on the channel. But it sucks. And if you hadn't, again, if you were on the fence, and I'm not sure why you would be, but if you were on the fence about respect for Logan Paul for what he did last night inside of that WWE ring, then realize he did it with a torn MCL, torn meniscus, and possibly a torn ACL. He basically had ripped his knee completely apart, and halfway through the match, and he still carried on, and he still delivered. I think that's incredible, particularly when you think, what's the final spot of that match? The final spot of that match last night is Logan Paul hitting the ropes and jumping over the top rope onto the Usos at ringside, who were behind his brother Jake Paul at ringside. If he did that on one knee, on one leg, that is a next level athleticism. And the match goes on, and he could have been a celebrity and gone, I've screwed up my knee, I can't continue, but he continued the match, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that and his overall performance. So a speedy recovery, we hope, for Logan Paul. The next premium live event is Survivor Series, though, later on this month. Survivor Series, of course, it will mark the first main roster appearance of War Games, and the status of the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns for the upcoming Survivor Series War Games show has seemingly been revealed during yesterday's Crown Jewel Premium Live event. Last night at Crown Jewel, WWE aired a commercial for their annual Thanksgiving event, Survivor Series, which will this year feature the main roster debut of War Games. War Games had become a staple of the NXT brand in recent years, but the NXT War Games matches typically featured 2 teams of 4 instead of the teams of 5 that we were used to seeing in WCW. However, during last night's show, the advert for Survivor Series revealed that 10 people will be taking part in the main roster War Games matches. The advert also featured all 5 members of the Bloodline, including Reigns, seemingly implying that all members of the group will take part in the titular match. There had been speculation when it came to the undisputed Universal Champion, having already wrestled Logan Paul on a WWE Premium Live event in November, that he would not be featured on the Survivor Series show, but that appears not to be the case, and the Tribal Chief will grace us with his presence at Survivor Series War Games. Who the Bloodline's going to face off against, it's not really known at this point, with multiple WWE stars potentially ready to face off with Roman and his family in the match beyond. When it comes to the women's side of things, the questions are a bit lifted. You've got Damage Control seemingly aligning with Nikki Cross against Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, maybe Candice LeRae. But the introduction of an extra woman on each team brings some uncertainty as well. Of course, Belair retained the Raw Women's Championship against Bayley in a last women's standing match last night at Crown Jewel. So Roman Reigns seemingly is confirmed for the event and confirmed for the show, which makes a lot of sense. I think, as I mentioned, Survivor Series, whilst it's kind of gone down in its stature, maybe in recent years, it's still a massive show, it's still a massive event, and now with the introduction of War Games, it would be surprising, to be honest, if Roman Reigns wasn't there and Roman Reigns wasn't involved. So to see that Roman Reigns is involved is good, and as I mentioned, as far as who the opponents will be, I kind of touched on this yesterday during the Crown Jewel videos that we did, the watch long and the post-show reaction. I think we could just see a conglomeration of the recent rivals, to be honest, of the Bloodline. I think we could see Sheamus. I think we could see Drew McIntyre. I think we could see Rey Mysterio's on SmackDown, I guess. I mean, there's other factions they could face off against. They could face the Brawling Brutes. They could have faced even Imperium. I know it's heel versus heel, but that certainly would be a match a lot of people would be interested in. So there's lots of different options that they can go in, but Roman Reigns indeed will be facing off against someone at Survivor Series inside the War Games structure. Sasha Banks and Naomi seemingly are on their way back to WWE, especially if you look at what happened last night at Crown Jewel. An opening opening video package playing before a WWE event, of course, is nothing new. For years, there was a video that included classic phrases such as "The world is watching," "Hulkamania is running wild." In subsequent years, "Then, Now, Forever" became the theme of the opening before the current "Then, Now, Forever Together" introduction. During this video package, many different screens from moments in WWE history play in the background. However, during WWE's Crown Jewel Premium Live event on this past Saturday, last night, eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed a slight difference. Most fans watching the video probably didn't give it a second thought, but thanks to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, we now know that former WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Sasha Banks and Naomi were added back to the Then, Now, Forever intro. Sapp noted that Banks and Naomi were not in the video earlier this week on any of WWE's weekly shows. Banks and Naomi, of course, were removed from the opening video package earlier this year. The move came after the duo had a falling out with WWE management, reportedly leaving their championship bouts on the desk of then Executive Vice President of Talent Relations John Laurinaitis. After Banks and Naomi walked out of WWE during Raw, they were subsequently stripped of the Women's Tag Team Championships. They have not been seen on WWE television since, until their reappearance in the video package before Crown Jewel, that is. This seems to be an indication we're likely to see Banks and Naomi back in a WWE ring sooner rather than later. It was also recently reported, of course, that Sasha Banks was backstage at a WWE live event, was it in Mexico City? I think it might have been in Mexico City. But the point being, they're on their way back, clearly. And Sasha Banks put a teaser on her Instagram story a couple of days ago saying she had a big project or something she was very excited that was happening finally. The moment she'd been waiting for months was upon us when it came to November. A lot of people have been speculating that could be to do with the show we were just talking about, Survivor Series War Games. Of course, Survivor Series is taking place in Boston, Massachusetts, which is Sasha Banks' hometown. Given that we've got a War Games match, perhaps you can have this situation whereby there are two spots remaining on the women's side of things, and that could be Sasha Banks and Naomi. Or maybe on the other side, they could be part of Damage Control. You never know. Who's to say they're going to come back as baby faces? They could come back as heels, even though I'm not sure how much sense that would make. But certainly Sasha Banks and Naomi look to be on their way back to WWE. Bray Wyatt appeared last night at Crown Jewel, cutting a promo on the show. And actually, this is quite a fun little story here. A video has emerged of Bray Wyatt breaking character in a rare event, because Bray Wyatt never breaks character, but he broke character following his appearance at last night's Crown Jewel Premium Live event. Wyatt cut a promo at the event before being interrupted by the mysterious Uncle Howdy, who appeared on the show's Titantron to berate Wyatt. Wyatt has been somewhat reclusive since his release from WWE in July of last year and his return to the company at Extreme Rules this past October. As a result, with some rare exceptions, he has very, very, very rarely been seen out of character for well over a year. However, following his appearance at Crown Jewel, Wyatt was filmed smiling and laughing as he made his way through the Riyadh audience. Since his return, Wyatt has mostly appeared in-ring and backstage segments, delivering enigmatic promos about his experiences since leaving the company and his mental health. Wyatt's promos are usually interrupted or interspread with clips of a character identified by WWE as Uncle Howdy, an unidentified person wearing a human-like mask who may or may not be Wyatt himself. I think it is. While the identity, though, of the man behind the mask has not yet been revealed, there are many culprits that the fans believe he could be, if not be, Bray Wyatt portraying the character himself. But let's have a look at this video of Bray Wyatt breaking character and mingling with the fans in Riyadh last night. Drew McIntyre wrestled last night inside of a steel cage against Karrion Kross, but a report has emerged that McIntyre may have worked the match at Crown Jewel while sick. As I mentioned, Crown Jewel emanated from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia as part of a series of premium live events to help support WWE's 10-year partnership with the nation in support of the Saudi Vision 2030. The report from PW Insider alleges that two-time WWE champion Drew McIntyre had been extremely sick with the flu over the past several days, but nevertheless persevered to engage in a steel cage match against Karrion Kross despite his health problems last night. McIntyre, of course, won the match, escaping the steel cage in a photo finish seconds before his opponent left via the cage's door, which had been opened for him by his manager and wife Scarlett. According to the report, McIntyre was said to be adamant that no matter what, he would make it to the ring and work, and was able to do that day. McIntyre has been praised in recent months for his commandability to WWE, with reports claiming that he would go down swinging for the company amid rumours of potential injuries that he's been working through. This led to McIntyre being taken off the road in the weeks leading up to Clash at the Castle back in September. Crown Jewel also, as I mentioned, saw Roman Reigns successfully defend his undisputed Universal Championship, and McIntyre can't catch a break at the moment. As I mentioned in the report just then, he was taken off the road prior to Clash at the Castle because he was ill. He had some, I think it was a real bad food poisoning, or he was really under the weather at one of the tapings of SmackDown. He was on like an IV drip backstage so he wouldn't get dehydrated and get some fluids. Same last night, he's been dealing with the flu. Of course, earlier this year, he was, or late to last year, he was out of action with a neck injury. He returned at the Royal Rumble earlier this year after dealing with that neck injury after only being out of action for a couple of months. So McIntyre's been through it the last 12 months or so. Numerous illnesses, numerous injuries, and again, you have to give credit. In the same way you give credit to Logan Paul, you give credit to Drew McIntyre. The show must go on, and to continue to persevere and get through the match when you're not at 100% is very commendable. So shout out to Drew McIntyre. One name that missed Crown Jewel last night was MVP, and there is a reason behind MVP not appearing at Saturday's Crown Jewel event in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Fightful Select Sean Ross Sapp is reporting that MVP did not make the trip because he's a former Muslim turned atheist, which is punishable in Saudi Arabia. Therefore, to protect, I guess, MVP and prevent an international or diplomatic issue, MVP does not travel to these shows. MVP is the current manager of Hamas, who has been feuding with Braun Strowman. Fightful noted that the spot where Strowman dropped MVP with 3 running power slams on the November 4 edition of SmackDown happened in order to explain why MVP wouldn't be at Crown Jewel. Strowman ended up defeating Hamas at Crown Jewel. The two started the feud on the October 14 episode of SmackDown, where MVP told Strowman that he's not the monster of all monsters and looks normal standing next to Hamas. The match became official following that, and of course, as I mentioned, Strowman defeated Hamas at Crown Jewel. MVP reacted on Twitter to the Battle of the Giants match. He retweeted several clips and replied with a chess piece emoji to a tweet about Strowman's victory. So it would maybe appear that the show, or the feud rather, between the two giants isn't over just yet, and MVP has a plan up his sleeve moving forward. So be interesting to see what MVP's plans are going forward in WWE. Cora Jade. Cora Jade is one of the standout stars in NXT right now, and reportedly Triple H has big plans for the young female superstar. Now, again, this is one of the stars, Cora Jade, of really the 2.0 era, now into this 3.0, 4.0, I don't know. But there are also a lot of prospects at the moment in the women's division. You've got, in the male side of things, you've got Bron Breakker, Carmelo Hayes, but you do have a lot of talent in the women's division on the developmental brand. Roxanne Perez, of course, recently made her debut appearance on SmackDown, and the 21-year-old is primed for big things in the future. She recently defeated her best friend turned arch enemy Cora Jade at NXT Halloween Havoc, who herself also may have a bright future. Speaking to Give Me Sports' Louis Dangour, the WrestleVote's Twitter account shedded some light on Cora's status with the company, noting that the company loves her and that she's being fast-tracked to become the next, quote, Sasha Banks. They said, quote, everybody loves Cora. She's on the fast track to becoming the next Sasha Banks. She has the same thing Sasha has. She's talented. She's got this unique look about her. She's super young and pretty decent in the ring, right? The potential of her becoming a big deal is high, and WWE sees that. So it could be seen that Cora Jade could be making a big splash on the WWE main roster in the upcoming future. Finally, the match has been set for this Friday's edition of SmackDown on Fox. Following the Crown Jewel live event, or premium live event, a new championship match has been made official for the episode of SmackDown on November 11. On this week's episode of the show, the undisputed tag team champions, the Usos, were confronted by the New Day, who currently hold the record for the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Championship reign in company history. The Usos are set to break the record if they hold the championship beyond next week's episode of SmackDown. The New Day, in defense of their record, challenged the champions to a match on next week's show, whether it be the Usos and the Brawling Brutes. Of course, the Usos retained last night, therefore it will be the Usos versus the New Day once again. If the New Day are victorious, their reign as champions from August 2015 until December 2016 will remain the longest title reign in company history. The Usos' SmackDown Tag Team Championship reign began at Money in the Bank 2021 when they defeated Rey and Dominic Mysterio. The Usos are going to win this match. They're going to break the New Day's record, I believe. And they've been teasing this for weeks. on SmackDown. Every single time the New Day comes out, they always mention they're the longest reigning tag team champions in history, but the Usos are closing in, so they've been teasing this and building to this for several weeks, but I think the Usos will win this one. It should main event the show, certainly, and I think it will. So there you go, guys. That's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on today's WWE news stories in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.